Oh, Other M, easily the most controversial game in the entire Metroid franchise. And while a myriad of videos have been made about why this game is an absolute failure, the topic I want to talk about today is what Other M does for power scaling. If you've been on my channel, you may have recently watched a video of mine, power scaling Samus Aran in her, quote, power creep form. And you might remember I passed over Other M in said video because I believed Samus was being nerfed, emotionally nerfed. So join me today as we take a closer look at the state of Metroid power scaling in Metroid Other M. So first, to explain why I, as a Metroid power scaler, believe there's a basis for Samus to be getting weaker from a narrative angle first. In Metroid Other M, we find Samus Aran emotionally stunted for two reasons initially. One, she's mourning the loss of the infant Metroid at the end of Super Metroid, and two, she feels less confident in Adam Malkovich's presence, and eventually three, she has her infamous PTSD breakdown when confronted by Ridley. Now, to be clear, as I've talked about in this video on how Dread saves Samus' character, I think Other M completely destroyed her character. But we are not talking about if I think the character was good or not. What we're discussing is, given how the story is, would any of these have a narrative basis to assume that Samus would be getting weaker? Well, to discuss if Samus is getting weaker, we first need to discuss how she gets stronger. There are three known ways that Samus can get stronger in Metroid. Firstly, and most notably of course, are her suit upgrades. Things like the Various suit and the Gravity suit and whatnot. Secondly, you have her motivational amps. When Samus is moved into action, as we can see notably in the battle with Integra, her power increases by a massive amount. And lastly, she's able to internalize her hatred and rage into power in what I call rage amps. Like we see here when a barely alive Samus managed to muster the power to one-shot this pirate guy, and even more notably, when she beats the shit out of Ravenbeak. As you can see, most of her amps rely on her mental state. If she is determined to do the job, or she's angered, she gets stronger. So from a narrative perspective, it would make sense that the reverse is true. If her mental state is in a bad place, then her power can decline. In fact, it may be why, after seeing Quiet Robe die, Samus remains fairly stoic so as to keep her power in check. In fact, we see an example that Samus' mental state can make her weaker outside of Other M, in which during the prequel manga, before she settled her PTSD, she broke down at the sight of Ridley and got absolutely thrashed by him with zero difficulty. So yes, from a purely narrative outlook, the idea that Samus would grow weaker makes sense. But does it make sense from a power scaling point of view? Does Samus' in-game feats actually reflect this? Believe it or not, we actually have three ways to prove that it does make sense. All three of them being characters in the game, in the form of Clone Ridley and his appearances, Phantoon, who returns from Super Metroid, and Nightmare before he is seen again in Metroid Fusion. Clone Ridley is the linchpin in my opinion. Being a clone of the real Ridley, Clone Ridley should pretty much be exactly as powerful as the original when he died. If Other M Samus was stronger than Super Metroid Samus, then she'd have been able to kill Ridley with ease, but nope. She does win, but it certainly isn't an easy effort. The second piece of evidence we have is that we can prove Metroid Fusion Samus, who also got nerfed when her armor got stripped down, is stronger than Other M Samus. And we can prove this through the respective Nightmare battles, and the simple fact that it is a proven and established fact that X-Parasite mimics of a creature are stronger than the actual original being. It's true with Arachnus X versus Arachnus. It's true with Ravenbeak X versus Ravenbeak. It's true with Nightmare X. The reason proving Fusion Samus is stronger than Other M Samus is important is to show that as nerfed as Samus was in Fusion, she didn't slide back an entire game's worth of progress since she beat a stronger Nightmare. Meanwhile, the Ridley example shows us that Other M Samus slid all the way back to Super Metroid levels. The final nail in the coffin for the power scaling perspective is Phantoon, and the evidence is straightforward. Phantoon in Super Metroid was weaker than Super Metroid Ridley, but here, Other M Phantoon is fighting evenly with end-of-game Other M Samus, who finally put her trauma behind her and therefore stopped being nerfed. In which case, Phantoon shows that Samus by the end of Other M does get stronger with time, because thanks to Clone Ridley being equal to Super Metroid Ridley, we can concretely show that Phantoon has to be stronger than his showings in Super Metroid. So yes, when we take the narrative showings from looking at her power as shown in other works of Metroid media, and look at the power scaling angle, and we see how Samus stacks up relative to the big three that we just listed, It creates a solid case that Samus simply returned to Super Metroid levels for most of the game. It answers why I don't generally discuss other M feats, because the game, from a scaling standpoint, is absolutely redundant. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the state of power scaling in Metroid Other M. Do you think Samus wasn't nerfed in Other M? Or do you agree with me that thanks to the wonders of plot-induced stupidity, that she was held back in her powers? Let me know down in the comments down below. Until then, please like, share, and subscribe if you like what we do. Please let me know down below in the comments section, because I love reading the comments. And please pray for a true peace in space. Take care.